So the first one, deliberate play. And this literally means, okay, in the sense here, I got a picture of some kids playing pond hockey. You know, you look at that photo there, there's not a coach in sight. You know, they're out there enjoying winter, but actually deliberately being intentional about how you play and giving players the opportunity to just experience whatever it is. And so this is something that is a bit of a relic. I mean, I drive around Aurora a lot. I don't see a game of street hockey happening ever anymore, like never. And that's sad, like, to be honest with you, because I was fortunate when I grew up on our street, there's a bunch of kids, and I played street hockey pretty much every day after school till it was time for dinner or time for another activity. And, you know, winters are changing. I've attempted to build a rink in my yard for the last number of years, and it's just becoming more and more of a challenge. So the opportunities for kids in terms of the hockey-specific thing to just play freely without adults telling them what to do have become more and more limited. So I have a young son who's going into U8, and so I'm on the coaching, you know, hamster wheel again with younger age groups. And so that's something I'm very aware of, is like, how can I encourage the kids that I coach at that age, and their parents, more importantly probably, to let the kids deliberately play without kind of stepping in and let them, you know, explore. And again, it promotes autonomy. They own the experience. It's not about, you know, what the coach is telling me what to do. They take ownership of what they're doing. They're going to try things. They're going to visualize things, not even consciously. They're going to find ways to be to express themselves with their buddies or on their own. There's no pressure, right? We've removed any bit of anxiety or pressure that may come with that. We're very deliberate about that. And then when you think about that, the whole dichotomy of a divergent thinker and a convergent thinker. And so the reality of what it comes down to is, I think too often in coaching, we think, or we want to tell our players there's one way to do everything, right? We can drill it down, and this is the one right way, right? And that is convergent thinking, right? We think that we have to converge on that one point. The reality of it is, and if you want creative players, and I think people would suggest that, you know, players now are, in a lot of sports, are full of skill, they're athletic, they've never been trained better, but do you see moments of creativity and just sheer brilliance all the time? And I would say that's probably become less and less. Players look the same, they play the same. There's none that kind of go against the grain and look a little bit different. And the ones that do that are divergent thinkers, right? They figure out solutions to problems that maybe aren't the norm. And so thinking about the dichotomy between those two things, the deliberate play really promotes divergent thinking, because within all of that experience, players are going to think about the things in a different way. Diversification. So on the picture here, I've had the pleasure to coach these three young men. They're all NHL drafted. At the top, you have Morgan Barron, currently with the Jets. That's him playing soccer for me. I used to coach the soccer team here as well. And he was my soccer MVP as a grade 12. He scored, I think, 19 goals that season. You could just imagine, as a grade 12 student here, 6'4", 220 pounds, barreling down the left wing, left footer, like he was a handful. And so he was a great athlete, and soccer was the other thing. Just to the right there is Jonathan Castagna. So he was a senior a couple years ago here, drafted by the Coyotes, currently plays for Cornell. If he decided that one day he didn't want to play hockey, he would be a Division I lacrosse player. Okay, he's so athletic, and these things transfer over. And then you got Jack Pridham, just drafted by the Blackhawks. Jack played baseball here as well, and he currently plays at West Kelowna and will head off to BU. I'm not suggesting that playing multiple sports made them NHL draft picks, but what I am suggesting is playing multiple sports didn't impede them from being NHL draft picks. And I think there's a big distinction in that. And I think too often we want to attribute that if you play multiple sports, it's going to make you more. What I think is that it's not going to get in the way of that. And it supports other sports. Baseball is not an invasion game in its nature, but the hand-eye and all the things that are involved with hitting a baseball, which is probably the hardest skill there is, a round ball and a round bat, it's a difficult skill. That only helps Jack. Lo and behold, the guy's got a great shot on the ice as well. And so they end up complementing each other, and it makes them more creative to see solutions that don't just exist in hockey.